3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening. No, it's not good evening, is it? It's good afternoon. How the devil are we all? And a very good afternoon to Clibbo as well. Clibbo, I thought you'd be working, mate. If you want to come on, I can send you the link because you've got a lot of thoughts on this particular position. So just put in the chat there if you want to come in. Who's that knocking at the door? And we'll let you in. I've got to say, Tom, knock knock.
Who's there?
Avon, your bell's knackered. Right.
Straight in with the dad jokes to start the show, guys. This is why you love being here.
This is what you got to put up with. I mean, you know, I've got to say, and he's sending me a recording, but on TalkSport 2 every week, there's I think it's second tier podcast or championship podcast, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And what they do is that the fans that they have on are fans that are like, not a problem, Clibbo, not a problem. They have people that do, as you know, we're part of the TalkSport fan network with with podcasts. And armchair, that's a bit harsh. But I was on this morning talking, obviously, Leicester, and I joked when I went on. I said, like, how are you? I said, I'm fine as long as you don't make me talk about Leicester. But I had a bit of a rant, shall I say?
Have you? When's it being released, Chris? So everyone knows.
Usually it's on a Thursday, but today is Thursday. I'll probably get tagged in it, so I'll let you know. But he's sending me a copy of my bit anyway. He followed me with a Blackburn Rovers fan, so I want to listen to that as well, because obviously, they're breathing up our arses, you say. But yeah, I didn't fully rant because I couldn't swear, because obviously it was the radio. But yeah, Mr. Rudkin and Mr. Top did get their names mentioned. Let me just put it that way. Hi, Michael. How are you doing? Look, it's all getting a little bit silly, isn't it, Tom?
Well, it's taking forever, isn't it, as usual? I mean, there's been jokes around today all over the internet, on social media, that Nottingham Forest will fire their manager, this morning at 1 a.m, and they'll probably have one in within 2 days because, hey, look, they might fire a lot of managers, but they seem to be a little bit more proactive about appointing them, don't they? Whereas we seem to be watching the games disappear, losses. And once again, it makes you debate the vision of the football club, doesn't it? And what's going on with the ownership again. All these things, Chris, are creating this further disparity between the fan base and the board.
It is. And good afternoon, Wayne.
Good afternoon, lads.
Sorry, mate, I didn't see the reply because we were obviously going to do this later, but I didn't see the reply to say that you could do this time. So
no worries, mate. No worries. If you guys are all right, that's okay.
I'm just saying to Tom then, Wayne, it's all a fucking joke, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it would be nice not to be in this carousel that keeps going round. And Tom, did you mention the link you sent, Tom, about that was also interesting. So some of the background stuff you're hearing now, structure is quite concerning, to be honest.
Well, go on then. Don't leave us in suspenders.
Oh, no, Tom's a guy that like passed it on, but it's just it's a problem recurring back from probably the Brendan Rodgers days, Vishai passing, and then the consequences for different elements of it has led us to here, basically.
I was given a hint this morning. 3 clubs that are in financial trouble: Reading, Sheffield Wednesday, and Leicester City. Do you know what links those 3 clubs?
Excellent,
No idea.
Excellent leadership.
No. There's a person that links all those 3 clubs. And what I'll do is I'll come back to you later in the show. I'll just keep you in suspenders waiting. But there is a link there. And if what I was kind of told bears fruit, it's a little bit scary. The True Red, Luke, is in. How the devil are you, sir? Welcome to the club. I mean, Tom, you joked before about, they will have another manager appointed at Forest before we do. They'll actually have another manager appointed and sacked before we get our next manager in, won't they?
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it's funny with football ownership, isn't it? Because they're your clubs end up being very reflective on your ownership. And Nottingham Forest have got this bit of chaos behind the scenes when it comes to their owner. Sometimes chaos can work, Chris. You chuck a bit of chaos at something and it can land on the wall in the right way, can't it? The problem is we're at Leicester City. We're Leicester City fans, so we're not having the positive element of that. We're seeing the downside of this because none of our chaos that's been running our club has actually helped us in the slightest now for a very long time.
It is, but I mean, we've gone through 2 moves. Let's forget caretaker managers because they don't really count. And no, it's not John Rudkin. But I'm sorry. I mean, Luke's just come in now and made me think of this. That we've never gone through. Have we gone through 3 managers in a season before?
Oh, I can't remember. Probably not. It's been close, but probably not. We've done 2, definitely, haven't we? But
What
3.
about the Rodgers season? We have the interims and
yeah. I mean, without taking, I'm thinking, permanent managers. Look, I put a thing up the other day. Let me just see if I can get it up, actually, as the actress said.
It's a bit early, Chris. A bit early for these jokes, Chris. Come on, it's not watershed yet.
Don't mention, actress said to the bishop, Chris, a lot of clergy watch this show.
This is their guilty pleasure, is it?
If anyone, if on the clergy is watching, can you please pray for Leicester City right now? We could do with any help we could get, really.
Well, this is very true, isn't it? Right, I put this up the other day because I don't think this is totally out of the question. I mean, things that I've been hearing are that it's going to be an ambitious appointment. Now, that could mean that it could be somebody lower down the leagues, and need an exorcism. It could, or it could be a big name. Now, obviously, we didn't know that this was going to happen with Frank at Spurs. I would. Now, I did put on social media, Wayne, I did put let's break the bank and get him in. And that was maybe the wrong choice with our financial problems at the moment. but you know what I'm saying? Let's pull out all the stops and do whatever we can, because I would get down and throw rose petals in front of him if he was to walk into the KP.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Frank. He did so well at Brentford. But the thing is, it's like when I chat with that Brighton fan every year when I says, "Oh, Potter's going," I think, you're going to be in trouble, aren't you? I went, no, we've got successful managers. The owner is a really successful businessman. He loves the club, makes great decisions. All the scouting's right. I'm not worried. And he wasn't. He don't need to worry. They had another manager. He moved on to better things, and they got another manager who's brilliant. And I wonder whether that's Brentford, because they got rid of Wissa and Buemo and I thought they would be in the relegation. But yeah, it's a difficult season, but they're doing okay. So maybe Frank was just another manager at a club that is just run supremely well, how we used to be run. So it's going to be interesting. Most managers that go from those kind of clubs up to the top clubs where they can splash a load of cash normally don't do very well, do they?
Well, I was going to say that because you look at Enzo. I think he did rather better than Chelsea are probably moaning about Tom. But you look at Potter, who went to Chelsea, Frank, who went to Spurs, Potter, whatever he's called. I know he won them a European thing, but Potter Logilulu, whatever it was.
Ange. Just say Ange, makes it easier.
Actually, that would have been easier, wouldn't it? And the history books are full of managers that have done well at smaller clubs, quite rightly thinking, "Yep, let me have a go at a big club." They go and struggle and end up getting sacked, and there's Spurs have had quite a few of those, Nuno at Spurs, there's another example. But I think we would be the perfect fit for this guy.
I'm not sure, because the lot of the things we're hearing about why Thomas Frank sort of lost the room was his communication with the players wasn't really up to what the players were looking for. Apparently, he wasn't very hands-on at getting there. He was quite stood back from things. And we're in a difficult situation now, Chris, because we're not at the start of a pre-season. If we're at the start of a pre-season, I think you can include managers like Frank, because they're going to have the time to be able to build, something to then start at the season. I think right now we're in a very difficult position where we need something not fix is the most. I froze. Am I back?
You're back. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think what we need right now is something that is going to fix short-term problems quickly, because this football club is on the verge of a relegation to League One, which could be financially catastrophic. So, look, we could go out there and throw the bank or whatever money we got left at Thomas Frank, but it suggests to me, bearing in mind the reason that he left Tottenham was to do with communication challenges, that he'd probably not got the players behind him. It's a bit of a gamble for us to go and invest a lot of money on a manager like that now, if he would even be interested in it, which I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't. But it's not the right time for me. We need to fix the problems now. We can't bring someone in that's going to do it in 6 months' time.
The problem is, Tom, that we're not going to get I don't think we're going to get anybody that's going to be decent on a short-term basis to fix these problems. I think this is the problem for me with, and I'll come to Wayne with this, with football generally, is we want an instant fix. It isn't. We give these managers 3 years contract and they don't do it in the first 6 months. Get rid of them. That's Marty. He had a 3-year contract. Why are we giving 3-year contracts out? It's because it's what managers want. And he didn't have that problem at Brentford. Maybe he had that problem at Spurs because they've got players, not unlike, a few of ours, that are so far up their own arses, they think they're better than they are. But when it's at a club like Brentford, where you've got, and what Leicester will be next season, I believe, which is all the, got rid of all the big names and the big egos and what have you, he could be exactly what we need.
It could make me laugh when you says they want instant fix. What do you want? Instant fix. When do you want it? Now.
Yeah, but that's football. It is football at the moment, isn't it?
It is. And I think I read a couple of weeks ago that nine championship managers have been sacked so far. And the same in the Premier League. It's always happened. So a lot of the bigger clubs, the fans, expect, they think they're a big club. They expect automatic. But everybody wants the best manager. Everybody wants a manager that can get the best out of players. But it is possible to rise up through the divisions if you get the right person in. And you can also stagnate and get relegated if you get the wrong person in. So I think we need a man motivator, as Tom said. You've got your ideal list and then you've got your realistic list.
Yeah, I agree with that. But an instant fix is not going to happen. Managers, Tom, don't get that time anymore. I've said Klopp would not have got the time he had at Liverpool if he'd been at Chelsea or Manchester United. He would have been out there. he would have been sacked.
So what happened with Celtic and Martin O'Neill? How did he fix it overnight?
Because he'd been there. He had been there before. He knew what was there, probably knew half the players that were there, knew the club structure, and he was only ever a short-term fix. Unfortunately, we know Martin O'Neill's not going to come here because he's been asked twice and he said no both times. Do you honestly think anybody will come into this club on a 6-month basis and go and fix it for us?
No, I don't. But I think we need to hire someone that's got the opportunity to maybe have a deal that goes longer than that. But I think we need to pick a manager who's got the attributes to be able to pick something up very quickly and shake some life into it. Because I mean, we want to always think long term where possible. Our circumstances of our foundations right now are very shaky and very dangerous to where the football club is heading. We've seen it with other clubs done it. I mean, Huddersfield have brought in Warnock before on a short deal. You know, who's going to come in and manage and just simplify the game for the players and just get things down to the basic level. We need to go for someone like that now for me, Chris, just because of the fact that we can't be affording to gamble on longer term contracts for managers like Thomas Frank that might not work out. This is my concern with it, because that seems to me like we're not learning anything in the scenario we're in. It's like, for me, we're calling a paramedic when we need a firefighter, and I think they're two very different things. And the circumstances your football club are in will dictate to you what sort of manager you need. And my concern is, especially with Thomas Frank, with what we're hearing, not to go back over it too much again, is that the things that got him out of the Spurs job are the things that wouldn't help us right now. And I think you can only get limited bits of information, but that's an expensive gamble for us to take. And if it goes wrong, it will only crucify the club's financial problems even further. So I think someone like Rowett, I know we'll get to a lot of these names, someone that we can have a longer term option with, but someone we know can come in now and just get the basics right in the scenario we're in, would be the starting point of any appointment for me.
It's a case, though, isn't it, Wayne, of anybody that comes in is a risk. We could bring Jurgen Klopp back into football and he come in. It's a risk. You could say he's never had a relegation fight. He's never played at this sort of level before. So anybody is a risk. I don't think possibly Alex Ferguson, but I don't think even he'd get a particularly good tune. It's all about, for me, finishing 21st at minimum this season and staying up, and then somebody going, taking us further afield. One thing I like about forgetting the 6-month temporary manager and having just going for somebody now is the Brendan Rodgers effect. When we had Brendan Rodgers, Celtic begged him to stay till the end of the season. And he said, no, Leicester want me, I'm going now. What he had was 10 games, whatever it was, at the end of that season to analyse our squad in proper games, not pissing rubbish, let's pass the ball around and look good pre-season games. They are not worth the paper they're written on. They're just there to give you exercise and fitness. They don't mean a thing. How often have we seen where we lose 5 pre-season games and we go on and win something, or we win every game pre-season and then have to fight with relegation? They mean diddly squat. Now, if this guy comes in now, and we're going to look at other guys as well, but if this guy comes in now, whether we stay up or go down, and if we go down, it's a rebuilding job. Be harder to get back up this time, but it will have that period of looking and going, fucking hell, you're crap. I know you're not going to be in his season. He's got that chance to see and assess the players in proper football match situations.
It has, and the continuity is a good point, actually.
I thought so.
And the continuity of the Great Escape was, I believe, the foundation of winning the Premier League, because that was a team. Not only did we have David Rennie who could play with a very small squad, so we got the most out of our first team, but also it was a season before that really laid the solid foundation, and gave us the belief that we could beat anybody or go toe to toe. So
that's the same with Liverpool last season when Slot came in. Whether Klopp would have won it or not is another story, another show. But it was that squad that Slot just went in and won it with.
Yeah, the one proviso or kind of condition is in regards to what you asked Tom is I think the contract side of thing is very important in all of this, because that video, I mean, I've never watched a 16-minute video with so many unbelievably crucial points that guy's making with regards to Leicester City and where we are. On the contract side of things is important, and the amount of money we can spend is very important. So I don't think we can. It's the contract side of things that seems to screw a lot of clubs up, and they get it wrong, and it's either a free fall or they stutter for a few years. So I would say we need a character builder, because I think we have got enough in the team. Obviously, Tuesday night proved that we could have won that game. We had more than enough to win that game, but the character was deficient when, as Tom says many times, and we haven't recruited the character side of things. And I think that's where we're lacking. And it is like fans wanted 2-4-2-3-1. They wanted the Pep and they wanted Enzo football. But, I mean, one thing with Enzo is he had the most expensive squad at that time ever assembled in the Championship. Us in Ipswich and Southampton had them, and the average, it was like 120 million, 105 million, like 80 odd million, and then the rest had budgets of like 19 million. Those three, we ought to have all gone up. So I do think for instance, gave Enzo a false kudos in a way, and that's the question. It's like, what's quality?
But of course,
that's why I'd love the Lincoln's manager or.
Yeah, I think we're to be honest with you, Wayne, and to disagree with you, and I respect your opinion, obviously, but you could have the most expensive players in the world. I will give you a quote of Manchester United. They've got huge big players. When did they last win anything? Having the players is good, but you also need that manager and the two of them going together and bonding well. What I want to do, Tom, is I want to look at this point because people are saying they're like Chris Hughton's and Tony Pulis, etc. We all wanted Graham Potter. He was our dream manager. The fans at the time wanted him. The majority of the fans at the time wanted him, 99.9% except Tom. But no, the majority of the fans wanted him in. Kuhn Top wanted him in desperately. He was stalking him. When he finally went back to West Ham, a club just down the road from, because he's obviously, if he's still living in Brighton, I don't know. London's easy. If he was in London because of Chelsea, West Ham obviously even easier. And he'd been out of that game, was it 2.5 years, something like that? And I think it showed when he went back into West Ham that football had moved on. So getting Tony Pulis, I'll be happy with him as a general manager, or I'd be happy with him as a director of football. But no, not him, not Chris Hughton, nobody that has been out of work that long, because they have lost touch with what is happening in the football world. Yes, I don't know about Chris Hughton, but obviously Warnock, he's got a reputation for saving teams. Sam Allardyce is another one. He wouldn't come because he turned a job down once because they wouldn't give him, they only wanted him for the 6 months and wouldn't give him a longer contract. And he thought, I'm not going to get done by that. But these players, when you've been out of the game so long, things change. I couldn't go back now and work in the job that I was doing before I retired because it's all changed. We don't selling newspaper advertising it's completely different to selling online advertising, and that's what they do now. So, can we forget A, ex-players, and B, just managers that have been out of the game a few years?
Well, I disagree. I disagree completely, Chris. Just because I think what we're looking for right now is something very specific. And I think what we're looking for now is a manager who can make the game simpler for our group of players and motivate them and get them doing the basics. Like Wayne rightly said a minute ago, there was 45 minutes against Southampton. We even suggested maybe Kingy has got that ability in himself. And we all immediately after that 45 minutes, if we'd gone on to win that game, we all kind of would have gone, well, Kingy's the man for the job, because ultimately, that's all we need. I think we're overcomplicating this issue by thinking longer term here. The club's on a short term massive problem here. I think people like Allardyce, I think people like Warnock, I think people like Pulis. Yes, I do, because look what's happened at Celtic with Martin O'Neill when he stripped down and make the game basic. I know we're not going to agree on this, but
that's Scotland. I mean, you could have gone into Celtic and done better than the French guy. Let's be honest with you, it's pub league football in Scotland. And let me just come back to Jim's point as well. Sorry to jump in on you here, Tom. But Jim has said, what kind of manager would even want to come and join this train wreck of a club? All right, let me put this to you, Jim. It's a job, right? Who would want to go into Nottingham Forest now after what's been happening? They'll be queuing up for it. How come Watford always manage to fill their vacancies? Because they have more managerial changes than Tom changes his underwear. Do you know what I mean? So because they know if they come in, and I'll quote you Nigel Pearson talking, funnily enough, on Sam Allardyce's pod. This was a year or so ago. We said, why did you go to Watford? Because Watford, you got them out the relegation zone and then they sacked you. And he said, he didn't say it in so many words because obviously you've got to be careful, but basically he was saying, because I knew I'd get paid at the end of it. And managers come in and know that even if they fail, that Marty Cifuentes will still be getting paid from us, or he'll have a payoff. So that's why managers would want to come to us. Who would have ever said, having just avoided relegation, that somebody like Claudio Ranieri would have come to Leicester? He came because he was out of a job. He'd been sacked by Greece because he'd done such a shite job. Before anybody says Southgate, don't go there. But so they will be queuing up for this job. Chris Wilder wanted the job before. He should have got it, but that's another story. So, guys, I think we can say that there will be people that want this job.
Yes, I don't think there's any of us that said that they wouldn't, but there are some managers that are, but there are some managers who won't, because we will have a reputation now. We will. I mean, we haven't got the attractive nature of Manchester United, Chris, who any manager would jump into despite the toxic nature, because they know they're going to get paid off. You could argue the same with Nottingham Forest. Leicester are known not to have a lot of money. Leicester are known to have. We are right down the bottom of this pecking order now, and I think MA's put some really good points in the chat here so far. Well done, mate. But it's not the time to take such a risk. We needed to get the last two appointments right, and we've got them both wrong. And we need to really focus on what has been the core problem with this team to ensure we stay in the Championship. Because to try and attract a manager now like Thomas Frank, what happens if we get relegated to League One? We'll sack him probably, or he'll want to leave, and then we're back at square one again, aren't we? I like the idea of bringing a manager in right now who is someone that is going to basically fill the gaps that we are seeing in this football club that are problematic. Nigel Pearson is high on my list, as you know. He would be my number one, because we got the problem with money. So he ticks the boxes that he's worked with Andy King as a coach at Bristol City very recently. I think then there's stability. We know what he brings to the football club. He goes in there in the first week, he tells everyone the standards. Everyone says it. Ben Foster said it. He's the best manager Watford had when he was there. And we'd get that in the team. The toxic players wouldn't last a week under Nigel Pearson. They would be gone. We need a manager like that right now. We haven't got time for a manager to come in, like, say, even going down to Lincoln City's manager. He's done a great job at Lincoln, but the problem is he's had a pre-season and a season to build into it gradually. We have not got that luxury anymore. So we need someone who's going to come in and be incredibly sharp on this appointment.
I take what you're saying, Tom, but Wayne, I still say it's got to be a long-term appointment, because if you get a manager that comes in and somehow manages to keep us up, then we're going, well, it's all fixed. We don't need to do anything. Sometimes you do need to take a step backwards to take a step, two forward. And I think at the time, going down to League One was probably the best thing that happened to us. We could have a clear out, and we happened to get a very good manager who we didn't know was going to be a very good manager, because he'd only just kept Southampton up above us. They survived. We went down. They sacked Pearson. We got Pearson in. That was a huge gamble. I think Pearson has come out and said he doesn't want it anyway. I would still love him, Tom, at the club. Don't get me wrong. Not necessarily as a manager now, but certainly as a, that technical director, if you like. And I'd love to have him in if they decide to go for the 6 months.
But isn't that the long-term plan? Isn't that the long-term plan, Chris? If we could, because then he goes into the director of football role and Andy King takes over, which would be the progression the club would
No,
want
because Andy
anyway.
King won't be ready in 6 months. Looking at these 3 games that he's had in charge, he is a couple of years. He will be the next manager after the next full-time manager. There's no way he's going to be ready, whatever division we're in, to take over this club. No way.
Not even under the brilliant manager that we all love. I think that could work. That dynamic could work.
Short term, possibly, but what we're saying is,
it could work long term, Chris.
Well, yeah, but Pearson, as far as I've read somewhere, he's not interested, so he's not coming. So whoever we get in, and like I say, not every manager is going to say yes, I'll take it for 6 months. But what Tom just said then was, at the end of the season, Andy King takes over. And what I'm saying is, I don't think he's ready, or he will be ready then, to do it that soon, if you like. I think whoever the next permanent manager is, then Andy King will be the one after that. And Andy King needs to stay for that, as I've said before, that Craig Shakespeare continuity role between the old regimes and the new regimes. We didn't have with Enzo, and of course we didn't get with Steve Cooper. And just out of interest, Steve Cooper, he was approached and offered the Burnley job, and he turned it down because he was waiting for the Leicester job. Burnley then went after Ruud van Nistelrooy. Fucking hell, why didn't they appoint one of them? Burnley then went after Ruud van Nistelrooy. Didn't go there because he came to, Leicester. So, as a managers will come till if you've not got a job, you will take a job if it's reasonably attractive. And Leicester, I'm not saying we're a sleeping giant, but we're certainly in that mix. What I'm going to say about Frank is, and then we'll move on, is that if he, and I'll come to you in a second, Wayne, I saw your finger. Sounds bad, doesn't it? I saw your finger. But with Frank, look, yes, it's important to try and stay in the Championship. Of course it is. We need to do that. Is it the end of the world if we go down to League One? No. I'm sorry, it's not the end of the world, because we'll still have a football team. We will still have a club, right? Whether that's top or whether he sells it to somebody else. I would sooner be in League One with having a club rather than be like Bury and not have a club at all. So it isn't the end of the world. It's first world problems. Let's be honest with you. It's first world problems.
I wish you'd seen the video we've seen, because I kind of feel like, it's broken down here. So yeah, I was just going to say, if you'd seen what we'd seen, me and Wayne, I think you'd have a different view on it. Because if we do go to League One, there is a chance we could be Bury. It's that dangerous right now.
We could be what? Sorry.
We could be Bury. We could go out of business.
Okay.
Because it is this time. So I was of the mindset, if we need to go down to League One to have a complete reset and get people like Winks, all those, even Chowdhury earning that money, not delivering for pound per pound, which is the average wage is 15 grand in the Championship, and players are way overperforming for that. But I always thought, if we've got to do that, then it's a bit of a shitter, but it's what we've got to do. It's happened before. Whereas this video sort of says, if you go down, you will still be playing. So he gave the example of Sunderland, and he was there to fight fires at Sunderland, getting relegated from the Premier League. He said, look, Sunderland were in League One, and they were still paying Premier League wages. Mm-hmm. So then if you're basically, Leicester have got an operating cost of 40 million. That's all the staff, all the people that look after Seagrave, people that cut the grass, people that mark the lines, heating under pitches, everything like that. He says, and if you go down to League One, with all the players on contracts, all these players on the contracts, they're not got clauses in the contracts. Their wages will carry on in the league.
You say that. Rob Tanner actually said the opposite. He said, the first time we came down, we were caught out. We hadn't got those contracts. Now we have, allegedly, and I don't know, because I'm only going off what somebody else has told me. And whilst I'm not saying that none of that is true, and yes, it is a bit scary, as MA said there, but we don't know, because that guy that was saying that doesn't know what's going on behind Leicester. We could very much still stay up. And look, we're not owned by King Power. We're owned by Kuhn Top and his family. A family's only got so much money. And at some point, he may go, well, I'm going to sell you now. And then he will turn around and say, I want all that money that I've lent you. I want all that back as well. And we could be a Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship.
The one thing he did say, though, which I thought was interesting, that so the reason why people don't have clauses in the contracts, like Leicester, for instance, they never ever believe they will get relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship. He says, but although now they probably, in the newer contracts, they've got that clause in, he says, no, I don't think there's any Premier League club that will have clause in the contracts where if we get relegated to League One, your wages will go down to £400,000 a year. So because if I was an agent of a player and we went to a club and they said, yeah, we just want to obviously draw your attention to this in the contracts. If we go down to League One, obviously wages go down. He says the players will say they'll walk away from that contract. So he doesn't think there's that clause in the contract for Leicester going into League One. That's what he said. And he was a guy that was hands-on with Sunderland dealing with them.
Yeah, and all I would say is that was Sunderland, this is Leicester. Yeah. I'm not saying we've not, but you've also got players saying, and this has happened in the past, if we get relegated, I'm going to move. I want to, and they'll have that in the contract, that if we get relegated, I want to leave the club. So that's in the contract as well. But like I say, going to League One, in the way things are at the moment, we could just as easily go bust in the Championship. Like I said, if Top decides that he's had enough, and he's, because as I say, a company can go on to a lot of money to keep something going than a private family can. Yes, he's a billionaire, but he's not going to want to just keep paying and paying and paying, whether we've done well or whether we've not done well. He's going to come to a point where, hang on, I used to be a billionaire, now I'm only a multi-millionaire. I've got my family to think about. I've got this, that and the other. Right, I'm going to sell Leicester. If he sells Leicester and he calls all his loans in and what have you, and I don't think he will, because I don't think he's that sort of person. I think he'd just sell us. But if he did, we would be proverbially up shit creek without a paddle. That's the thing. And all I would say is, and we'll move on because we spent a lot of time on Frank, and he's probably not worth all that time. But the only thing I would say is, if we go down, that's got to be part of the a 5-year plan. We've not had a 5-year plan, because if we had got a proper plan in place, we would have looked at possibly, well, what happens if we do happen to go down next season? And we know that they didn't do that. So, any plan going forward's got to be that. But like I say, sometimes you take 2 steps back to take, 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. Now, the next gentleman, and look, there's a lot of people that have suddenly started losing the jobs and what have you, suddenly come onto the market. And I'm not going to say that Leicester knew any idea that any of this was going to happen, because they didn't. I would love Nigel Pearson in a way, but I would like him only as I'd want him as the technical director, or preferably just the director of football, and get rid of John Rudkin. And like I said early before you joined, Wayne, I was on Talk Sport this morning, and they do on Talk Sport 2, they do a second tier pod, and I did have a bit of a rant, as much as I'm allowed to, on national radio. I didn't. I had to rein it in a little bit, but John and Top did get both barrels from me this morning. So hopefully he's going to send that through to me at some point for anybody that can't. But listen, you need to come down on a Thursday. But listen now, I think it's the Tier 2 podcast, or it's the Championship podcast, and it's all fans being interviewed. Funnily enough, by a Sheffield Wednesday fan who hosts it. Right, so this next gentleman, like I said, as much as I can see the attributes of a Nigel Pearson, I don't think Nigel Pearson will come in. And like I say, I honestly do think this gap of somebody being out of a job, does affect it because things move on and things are different. And could you get away these days with an Alex Ferguson kicking issue at Beckham and that sort of thing? I don't know. Now, this guy, and I was laughed at. When I suggested getting this guy in a while ago. Because, oh, no, he's a dinosaur. He's no idea what to do. He's no idea. He doesn't play this 4-2-1. He plays 4-4-2 and all this. He doesn't know what he's doing. Well, I'll tell you what, and the rumours are that he has turned us down in the past. I would give this man a bag of gold to come and manage us now. I think this is the guy we want. I think he's the Pearson type of manager that you want, Tom. He turned it round at Nottingham Forest. Yes, all right, 38 shots, not a goal last night. I was watching a bit of that match, and it was how they didn't score, I don't know. Maybe they've got Daka 3 and Daka 4, a bit like Thunderbirds. There's probably 5 Dakas playing for different clubs. This is the manager that I think could keep us up. This is the manager that could then maybe take us up next season and maybe keep us up for one season in the Premier League. Or if we don't go up next season, go up the season after. And then we can look at where we go from there. To me, like I've said there, the man we might not want, but I honestly think he is the man we need.
Who was that to, Chris? Is that to me?
Oh, that was Tom, yeah.
Sorry, I do apologise. I froze slightly. My internet's being a bit cack-handed this afternoon for some reason. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be against it. I think you're right. I think there is some value in it. I'm kind of going to poo-poo your argument straight away, though. Unfortunately, I don't think it will ever happen because number one, he lives in Nottingham. Number two, he's got a lot of love for Nottingham Forest. Number three, we've interviewed him a few times before. Number four, he didn't particularly like us when he was Burnley manager either, did he? He always said about us overspending, and he hasn't got, I think, good eyes for us as well. And also, I don't see him right now valuing himself as being a bottom end championship manager. Yes, I get you. Leicester are a big club. I love Leicester on my team. We are a big club. We're probably actually one of the top 15 biggest clubs in the country, irrelevant of what league we're going to be in. But I just think right now, if you've just lost this job at Nottingham Forest, the last thing you're going to want to do is jump across to Leicester as well, because Nottingham Forest fans aren't going to look at that particularly well either, are they? It looks a very sort of like an FU scenario across. There's a lot of little things that add up to me seeing Dyche going on a nice holiday now to the end of the season, probably to Marbella, enjoying himself, having a few tinnies, maybe doing a few podcasts, and then he'll be back in at Burnley perhaps in a minute when they sack their manager, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's at the back of my mind is the Burnley situation. But Tom, I mean, he's not been there 5 minutes. He's not exactly built up a rapport with the fans. The fans don't like him.
But he likes the club.
Yeah, because he's a Nottingham lad.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So why would he come to Leicester? I think he's a bit more. He's
because he's out of work. All this sort of look. Martin O'Neill had his best years. He's a Northern Irish lad, obviously not a Nottingham lad, but he had his best years under Brian Clough at Nottingham Forest. He came to us. Wes Morgan came to us. And it's like years ago. Do you remember in Scottish football, Protestants could only play for Rangers and Catholics could only play for Celtic? And then was it Mo Johnson, the first, and I can't remember the religion, but he was one of the, obviously Catholic or Protestant, and he went to play for the other, side, if you like. It happens. And I think all this sort of thing where you've got fans that say, oh, we can't have a red shirt, it's Nottingham Forest colour. We can't have a white shirt, that's Leeds United colour. Well, believe it or not, a blue shirt is Chelsea's colour. Grow up, grow one, guys. Those sort of comments now, I think, is back in the dinosaur age. It's back in the 70s when we had violence and thuggery and everything. I don't think it matters. A job is a job in football these days. He may decide, yeah, I need some time off. He may want to put two fingers up at Makarakis and go, fuck you, you Greek. You Greek doner kebab. And he might want to come. I don't know, but is it, like MA said there, is it just worth giving him a call and just saying, would you? Now, if he says no, that's fine. That is fine. Is it Warnock? I mean, okay, let's go back then to Neil Warnock, Wayne. He hated us. When we went out of business that time and we got out of it, went into administration, we didn't get a points deduction. We were the last team to go into administration without a points deduction. It was changed after that, and we got promoted straight back. He hated us. He was calling us. If you're going to say that about Dyche, we've got to say that about Warnock as well.
Yeah, I get that. It's interesting, these managers that get sacked. You seen the advert with Pardew and Allardyce where they're just sipping pina coladas around, and they're just making a bit of a laugh out of them being in that position. But I mean, you look at Dyche's.
Look at his little face. Look how excited he looks to be outside the King Power.
I know, but you know what? It was the fact that he got sacked was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yes.
The form, apart from right up to Fulham, they are the most informed team. If you accept West Ham are having a really great turnaround, 1-2 and drawn 3 of the last 6 matches, and he gets a sack.
Yeah,
they were near rock bottom like Wolves. That is just absolutely ridiculous. So he did turn Forest around. Now, one of my customers, I saw him on Tuesday, I think it was. They didn't like Nuno. They did not like Nuno, and he ended up going, although he got them into Europe. And then Dyche has done what he's done, and he's got the sack. And I said, so what do you think about the sacking then? Do you think? He said, yeah, it's a bit boring, to be honest. The fans didn't like his style of football. But that's an interesting choice when you rock bottom, isn't it, with Wolves? So, and that's the whole thing about what kind of manager do you want? I want a manager that can build character, but also is flexible. And interesting about the old people being out of, like Potter being out of touch with modern football. Modern football is long throws, getting the ball forward more quickly, and crowding the box like Arsenal do, and causing a bit of mayhem in the box. Who'd have thought that 5 years ago?
Well,
can we afford Premier League wages for a manager right now? He'd want Premier League wages as Thomas Frank would. I don't think it's affordable, Chris, as well as the main underlying point.
Well, like I say, this is we don't know what the financial situation is. He is from Kettering, and I have to say, I having watched Manchester City demolish Liverpool in one half, playing 4-1-4-1. Pep isn't even using 4-2-3-1. But I just think, I years ago I said somebody I went for a job, and they said, like, are you going to be selling this rather than what you're used to selling? And I was going to actually work on the motors department when I moved down to Bournemouth. I said, you've never worked on motors before. I said, I don't have any interest in motors, not one of these, petrol heads or anything like that. I said, but selling is selling at the end of the day. And yes, football is football. But things do change, And I just want somebody that's got recent experience and not from that has been out for more than two seasons. I think 2 seasons is where you have to have your cut off. And all I'll say, 2 words: Graham Potter.
Yeah, I do like the one thing I do like about Dyche is his character. So in other words, you think because the label is you're a dour defensive-minded manager, but when you hear him in post-match interviews, I do like his sense of humour. And, if you can be I've been on some right jobs where the shit sits in the fan. If you've got that bit of banter, if you've got that uplift personality, that is infectious. So when you compare that to Marte and his demeanour, I don't think you get so much out of people.
Which we loved Marty's demeanour when he first came in compared to Ruud van Nistelrooy, didn't we? It's we're not fickle football fans, are we? I mean, just going back to Dyche. Dyche was born in Kettering, Northamptonshire. He grew up as an admirer of Liverpool, but was a Kettering Town supporter. So this sort of link with Nottingham, I don't know. It's sometimes these old wives' tales come to fruition and it just grows and grows and grows. Who knows? Like I say, to me, if Andy King manages Leicester, we know that's his club. Martin O'Neill going to Celtic was his club because growing up, that's why I never had any problem with Martin O'Neill when he left us to go to Celtic because it was his club. I never had any problem with Brian Little going to Aston Villa because it was his club. I had problems with what was he called that went to Wolves? Mark McGee, when he went to Wolves, because he went just for the money, But no, I think we offer him a package where this is your basic wage. Keep us up. This will be the bonus you get. Because if anybody's on a short-term contract, that's what they have. It's a step wage and a bonus for staying up. Get us promoted the next season, you'll get this much, or the season after, a little bit less. Keep us in the Premier League, you'll get this. But it's a bonus-related job. Whether we can afford him or not, who knows? This guy will sort that defence out. And don't forget, when we took on Marty, and I was laughed at for two people. I was laughed at for Sean Dyche. I was laughed at for Chris Wilder. And I'll tell you something, if anybody says they're still glad we didn't get Chris Wilder, you're lying. Yeah, exactly, Wayne. Exactly. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
But this comes back to the main point, doesn't it? Will they hire a Dyche who will say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, like Wilder would have said, which is what cost him the job? This is the concern, isn't it? That is as much the equation.
Concern. That is the huge concern. We need. Just to tell you about what I was going to say. Well, do you remember when we took on Marty? We had, and we were linked with Sean Dyche. We had Dan in, the Burnley fan. Now Dan would bend over and have Sean Dyche's children. I mean, he loves him, and quite rightly for what he did for that club. Yeah. And as I say, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back in there if Scott, although they won the other night, but I can see him going back to Burnley. And he was saying what a good appointment it would be for Leicester. The sort of person we needed at that time, having come down, being so fucking awful last season, the guy to come in. We didn't. Like I say, it's a case of what can we afford to pay the guy to convince him to come. And the other point is, you quite rightly say, and it is what we need. We need somebody to come in and go, as I said this again this morning, right, what do you want me to do as manager? No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do as manager, because I can see the shit that you're in, and I know you want to get back to the Premier League. This is how we're going to do it. It's not going to happen overnight, blah, blah, blah. You back me, or I'm going to walk away and I'm not even going to let you turn me down because I'm turning you down.
And he did say he was good with youth players, wasn't he, Dyche? He did like to bring them on if he could.
Haven't we said that about Marty? Didn't we say that about didn't we say that about Steve Cooper?
Yeah, we forgot his personality, who is willing to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm converted with him, and I lived in Burnley, as you know, for 20 odd years. I had 4 children in Burnley. Well, I didn't have 4 children. My wife did. And so I've seen him firsthand. Do you know what I mean? I used to go to Burnley and watch them for a while. And, I just love this guy. He doesn't stand any nonsense, but there is the other side, as Dan said, to him. So I wouldn't. I just don't think we could. If he came in and said, yes, I'll take the job, I don't think we could turn him down, because I just think he ticks so many boxes, guys.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think if we could, Chris, and that's not even a foundation of any of my argument counteracting you to this, is it? I think if we could, yeah, I'd be okay with it. I'd be a lot happier with this than actually, say, a Skubala from Lincoln, because I think he would need a lot more time to get the club up to speed than perhaps someone like Dyche would with his experience. But I just do think it's unattainable for us now, because managers from the outside would be looking at us and going, well, there seems to be a disconnect between the ownership and a lot of manager appointments that have happened recently. If they, say, for example, call their mate up about the football club who knows that manager, say they know Ruud van Nistelrooy will probably turn around and go, well, the club probably was quite deceptive towards me. It told me we were going to have money. It told me this. To work with this sort of person at the top of the football club is very difficult. It makes your job harder than it should be. I think, like we say, it's a bit of a football manager killer, this job right now, isn't it? Which then limits your options about the people you can sort of bring into the situation. So it's a very, very difficult time for us with all this.
No, it is, but then again, Enzo recommended the job to Ruud van Nistelrooy.
It's true. No, he did. That is a fair point. Yeah, but then I do wonder with Enzo. Obviously, don't forget, like it was all happy and roses. It's only when things get difficult that you actually seem to, the cracks are brought out in the open. If things are going well, you don't normally notice cracks, right? I agree with Clibbo. I think we might as well go down the whole Heisenberg on fire or Hildenberg.
Yeah,
Thing
we
is,
could do
whoever,
that.
whoever,
Sorry, Wayne, carry on.
whoever we get, we've got to get it right, because this carousel. Look, all teams will go through new managers. They'll move on. If you get a manager that wants to manage at the top level, you want him hungry. You want him to move on and say, thanks for helping us, all the best. But these paying managers off with our position in PR, and hopefully we're just coming out of all that cycle to this, this is wrong. We're getting rid of all the big earners. We can't afford to sign a manager and sack him in the summer, for instance. We can't get a manager on a 2 or 3 year contract and then sack him in the summer. That'd be catastrophic for PSR.
It would. But it seems to be what we're very good at. And managers that are worth having will say, yeah, I want a 2 or 3 year contract, because, they know what it's like, even though they'll still get paid off if they leave. I mean, like I say, was it? I think it was Allardyce that was it. He turned down the Leeds job because Leeds only wanted to give it him until the end of the season.
No, he took the Leeds job because he was going to get a payout if he kept them up, but he couldn't keep them up. But he took the Leeds job. He managed them.
Somebody turned down a club because they only wanted them till the end of the season. So
Yeah.
I may well be getting that wrong on that. Right, let's have a look, shall we, at some of the other candidates. Now, I only decided to do this morning, so I haven't got sort of up-to-date exact artwork, but let's have a look then. Martin O'Neill, again, I don't think if he's turned it down twice, guys, he's not going to come, is he?
No, I mean that he does look good in that picture though. I bet he looks at that and thinking, yeah, I still feel that young.
Yes, yeah. It's a shame, but look, Andy King, he's still in there. I mean, I'm looking at Sky Bet at the moment, and he's still third favourite at 4-1. I just don't think he's ready for it. I mean, are you guys going to say that he's ready for it?
No.
No, he's not. No, he's admitted himself he's not ready for it. No, I mean, and this is the point. But I mean, like, it goes back to the Pearson argument. If this is the money sort of side of it we're in, then we need to make the best of a situation with what ingredients we got left in the kitchen. I think there were signs in the first half against Southampton. There is a manager here, and there is a manager in him. But like I say, time is not our friend right now, and this is the biggest problem. And Andy King's very aware of that.
And I think when you look at that second half, Wayne, and the substitutions he made at the time, I mean, we know post match, it's very evocative. I was slightly a tad annoyed, which you may have noticed. But when you look back, you go, this, the mistakes he's made. Took off four subs, and they're all our attacking players. He hasn't got that tactical nous yet, but that will come. I'm sure that will come in time. Oh my God!
No.
Second favourite, 10-3. That's not the time, by the way, guys. That is his odds. So when you're looking at the odds at the top, those odds, by the way, they are out of date because I did this about a month ago. But I'd say I couldn't be bothered to do all new artwork. But yeah, he's 10-3. Tom, you love him, don't you?
No. I'm sorry. I would like a manager that's likable. There's enough I dislike about this football club right now, but a manager who's going to make me dislike the football club even more is not something I want to go down. It's a Poundland Brendan Rodgers, mate. And to be honest, looking how he handled the Rangers situation, he was a dead man walking early days there, and he just hung on for as much money as he could. Do we really want that in charge of our football club if it goes wrong? Please, God, no.
When you look at the Scottish Premier League, I think the second now. Rangers. But when I looked at Russell's history, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm not suddenly going to turn around and go, yes, let's go for Russell Martin. I'm not. But He actually only lost one game.
In the Scottish Premier.
The problem was he wasn't winning games. He was drawing them.
Yeah, he's too stuck in his ways, Chris. He got stuck in his ways when he got promoted to the Premier League. That's why they got relegated, and he got found out because really, if you can't make success in that league, managing one of those two big clubs, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. I say exactly the same. He is anybody going up there and then coming to Leicester, ignore their experience up there because it's a completely different league. But yeah, I mean, Rangers are second now. Like they played a game more than Celtic. Hearts, bless them, are still top. But look, we took on a manager that from Hearts that had got them to second, I think, one season, had got them into Europe and hang on, it's coming. Craig Levine, so there's the case in point. But no, I mean they've only lost 2 games all season. Rangers, Celtic have lost 6, but Rangers had drawn 10, and a lot of those were under this guy. So yeah, I think it was probably. I mean, I'm with you there, Andreas. I'm a no as well for him, but I'm just saying, he did get Southampton promoted. Chris Coleman. Oh, now he is, like I say, please do ignore the odds and do remember, guys, that gambling is not the answer. You shouldn't gamble in the trying to get yourself out of a financial situation, and when the fun stops, stop. He's actually dropped down a little bit as our Chris Coleman. He's out now to 11-1. Wayne. I can see the logic in him till the end of the season because I know Andreas just gone, oh God, no, but he knows Andy King. He's worked with Andy King. He was Wales manager when Andy King was the captain. He has got that relationship.
He has. I liked him when he was in charge of Fulham. I mean, you look at his CV, it shows you these managers that travel around and they're going a decent wage for 20 odd years, don't they? Even when they get sacked, they always move around. They'll always find jobs. But no, not for me. Not for me, Chris.
Tom?
He's an improvement on what you just put up, I must say. Yeah. Do you know what? I quite like him as a person. I do quite like him as a person. I mean, it would be a punty one. He wouldn't be the worst one for me. I'll say that much. He'd definitely be in my top 10 of options.
But I wouldn't want him long term, though. That's the thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you could view it as like he's had success in the past, yes, but once again, it goes back to your argument. It was a long time ago. There is an element to me of managerial appointment here. If someone's got something to gain from doing a really good job with us, I think that actually could be crucial in providing a little bit extra of an edge into the job they're going to do now in the moment, which is the most important.
The other thing as well is look how many jobs he's had. And that, to me, is a bit of a woo moment,
It's not standard for managers, though, Chris. They all, they have an holiday and then they've got another job. These managers know their phone will ring at some point in the future.
Again, right, I'm going for the Tom look here.
What is that on your? What I can't see that. Make that out, Chris. On your hat.
Oh,
all right.
I thought it was like a Nickelodeon logo or something. I was like, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
What? Excuse me. What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything.
I'll get my solicitor on to you.
You little rug rat, Chris.
Just because I've got a drawer of Hammerboo here, don't read anything into that at all. Right. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, and I know you're a little bit biased here. I don't think his connection to Leicester means an awful lot because he wasn't here with us that long. So he's not sort of, oh my God, Leicester's in my blood sort of thing, like with Andy King. I think Oxford were made the decision much too quickly. And I wouldn't laugh if they went down. And I mean, they're in a worse position now, I think, than when they sacked him. I like this guy. I mean, look, when he was sacked from Birmingham for that great manager, Wayne Rooney, look what happened to Birmingham. They went from playoffs to relegation. I think this could be a long-term option here.
Yep. And I think also, not only that, I think he could do well short term as well. I think the thing he did well at Oxford was they were very disciplined. They were very defensively well organised. They can keep clean sheets. But he's also, like you said, shown he can advance a formation and advance a tactical vision like he did with Birmingham and get a team right up there. Championship experience as well, which is crucial. Seems to be eager for the job as well because of the Blackburn links dying down after he talked to Blackburn. He seems to maybe be holding on for Leicester. So that's also another green flag for me here. If Rowett was it, Rowett would be in my top 5, definitely, of yeses.
Yeah. Wayne?
Yeah, agree what Tom said. Thought it was odd done too. He will get them organised. Yeah, I've always liked him as a manager. And just because people, like I said, just because people on the, you want a manager that's hungry, has got the right attitude. So a lot of managers will think, I'll take that job because it's security for the next year or so. Maybe in the back of the mind think, well, I don't really think I can do a lot here, but it's work, so I'll do it. So I think Gary Rowett would have a really good attitude, like Tom said. And I do like this. I think he's the best fit for us, most probably.
Yeah, I think so as well. Look, he's been in the relegation battle with Oxford. He knows, the thing is, he knows the league. Let's say we go and get some big international name. All right, maybe they can come into the Premier League and do a job. Coming into the Championship and doing it is completely different. This guy, and again, that was the other reason that I wanted to go for Chris Wilder. Oh no, hang on, to ice, isn't it now? But yeah, I would be saying, and do you think, Tom? Do you think he's turned down the? I've heard he's turned down the Blackburn job or turned down an approach. They may go back with a bit more money. Do you think he's holding out? Is he doing a Steve Cooper, turning down Burnley, hoping that Leicester are going to come in?
Well, we don't know, but there is a belief around, that could be what's happening if there's 2 clubs interested for him. He's obviously got a favourite of the 2. And look, he's been Oxford United manager in his last job. The ceiling for Oxford United, I've got a lot of love for Oxford. Their ceiling with their facilities and all the rest of it, is nowhere near as high as Leicester. With what we've got. So I think that would be the most attractive element of him. He would think here he could come into it like Nigel Pearson did back in the day and go, I can really build something here. The question is, will the club make a decision to appoint a manager like that again as well? But also then we go back to the argument of, has the club got it in them above him? Worrying.
Yeah.
At least he ticks the box of getting the short-term fix. Sorry, but
And do you think that if he was in charge of that game on Tuesday, that we probably would have got a victory there?
Yes.
Management.
I'm going to come out and go, yes, I think we would have done.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he is 5-1 now. Same as he was before.
It's nice that you started with the grim ones first, Chris.
Well, this one's grim for Tom, so I'll come to you. He is kind of the name on everybody's lips, I guess, at the moment. If you're looking for somebody ambitious, maybe this is the guy. He's doing well with Lincoln. Are Lincoln in League Two?
League One.
League One, so, third or something.
Yeah, the second. So they're in the automatic promotion place, and they are 6 points clear of third place Bolton. They've only lost 5 games this season, won 18. Let's be honest with you. If he doesn't come to us and stays at Lincoln, he could be waving to us as we both go each way, Wayne.
Yeah, he could. And I think if you're in automatic promotion place in any division, that's probably equivalent to you being mid to, 12th to 17th in the Championship. So for me, I do like this appointment. I've got to be honest with you. But as Tom said, it is taking a bit more of a risk. But I think it would be a good future risk. And do I think if you're points clear of the playoff zone, you are doing something right. You've got your defence sorted, you've got your team balance right, you've got your motivation right, your game management right as well. It'd be different if he was like 5th or 6th in the League One, but in this position, you got to say it looks like he's bang on for automatic promotion. So I'd say this is a yes for me as well.
Cardiff and Bolton have both conceded only 29 goals. They're the best ones in the division. Lincoln have only conceded 30. We're saying that this might be a risk, but like I said earlier, any manager's a risk, aren't they, at the end of the day? And I think that for me, the problem is, again, it's not every fan, but we have got a lot of fans that have become entitled. Like, what are we doing going for a League One manager? We should be going for, Amarin or somebody. Oh, sorry, we're not that team anymore. And would we have? What would people have said? And I've said this about two things. After we won the Premier League, if we'd gone and bought Jamie Vardy, they'd have had pitchforks outside the King Power. And if we were now in the position where we're looking at a young Martin O'Neill who's been at Wickham, he's just gone to Norwich for about 6 days, they'd be saying the same about Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, sorry. So what's your point at the end of this, mate? Sorry, I didn't really pick up on that.
My point at the end of this is, thank you for listening. My point at the end of this is that anybody's a risk, and maybe we need to go for a young, hungry manager.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Look, I'm not against this. He'd be in my top 10 of managers I'd like as well. I just feel in the circumstances right now, this has got vibes when we got Holloway from Plymouth. He's going from a club where everything's going in the right direction. He's not having any problems behind the scenes. Things are going, really well. To then come to a bigger club right now that's in real difficulties and having to deal with a completely different dressing room, a completely different wage budget of players that is going on. Some of them overpaid. I'm not sure if it's the right time. If we were relegated to League One in the worst case scenario and we were looking for a manager in this summer, I think he'd be near the top of my list. I think that would give him time and progression to build something. I think for now there's other candidates out there that can hopefully fix a short term quicker than Skubala, but that doesn't mean I don't like him. I do think he's got a big future in the game. It's just not now for me.
If we go down to League One and he's in the Championship, we probably wouldn't want to come.
You say that, but we're still quite an attractive club because of the size and scale.
You are right. You are right on that point, definitely. And look at the guy at Wolves. He went from a very good Middlesbrough side to a very struggling Wolves, although he obviously had links with them. This guy has come in on the betting. He's now 7-1, and this is with Sky Bet today, by the way. I think he's worth a gamble, Wayne.
Just we were talking about what's interesting is we talked about Frank leaving Brentford, and I'm watching our Premier League football, and Keith Andrews, who's the head coach of Brentford, his background, he joined Brentford July 24 as a set-piece coach, served as assistant manager Stephen Kerry with the Republic of Ireland team, and worked with MK Dons and Sheffield United. When you read his interviews, Brentford are playing really good football in the Premier League. They're really hard to beat. They're super organised. They look after the ball. So this thing I do like, that shows you if you get it right, you can promote. You don't need to go with established managers. See, obviously they saw something in him. And it's interesting that Brighton have done this with successive managers. And Brentford have often done it. I thought Brentford would fall off a cliff. But the way he talks, the way he carries himself, the way he organises his team, he changes formations as well. So I do think up and coming there is, and that Skubala does fit that kind of mould, I'd say.
I think that we've got a little bit of a crush going on here with Wayne and Brighton.
They're the model team. They have succession managers, they sell players, but they can't. Even then, they can't get into Europe.
Everything that Leicester used to do.
Well, yeah, but they can't get that. Leicester won the Premier League and won the FA Cup. Brighton, they said 2 years ago they stopped selling players so much, and they would definitely want to try to get in Europe. Even a club as well run as Brighton cannot smash and get into the top six.
No, you're right. Sorry, it had to be done. It had to be done. Right, okay. So who we? I forgot who I've got up next now. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I mean Nigel Pearson. Look, yeah, Tom, it's fallen on you. His odds on now. I'm going down, deeper and down, as Status Quo once said.
I believe 33-1 at the moment.
Is it right? I need to go down even further. So if he's 33-1, he's become an outsider. We've spoken about Nigel anyway, haven't we? So we will move on.
At least he knows how to work with Rudkin like no other manager would.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's true.
That could be crucial.
Yeah. Look, I know this is.
He's been ringing the club, and Rudkin's been looking, saying, "Oh, Nigel, it's on silent."
Yeah. Look, I do know this is not Michael Skabula. When I did this all those weeks ago, it was a copy and paste misprint. It is, of course, Mark Robbins. He's at Stoke at the moment. He is now sat in at. He's gone out a bit, I do believe. I can't find him either.
I think he's dropped to nearly 50, hasn't he?
Well, he's not even up at the 33s at the moment. So, look, he's at Stoke as well. I'd still love him. I would still love him, Tom.
Yeah, I would as well. You can argue that if we did have some money to spend on compensation, which we don't really know, because obviously the PSR thing for that cycle's been out of the way, but we're still obviously quite focused on it for next year as well. You'd argue he's probably the highest manager we could attract right now, because Stoke have got similar financial limitations that are always going to hold up their ability to progress. I think he's very good at organising a team and sorting them out and then making them better, which he's done at Coventry and Stoke. I think Stoke have overachieved this year. Even if he finished in the top half, it's still an overachievement with what they got to work with. So no, I mean, if we could attract him, he'd definitely be up there for me as an option, Mark Robbins. Yeah.
I mean, Wayne, Stoke have dropped down to 14th. Oh, we'd love to have dropped down to 14th, wouldn't we? But, so they're not sort of in the playoffs where they were at the start of the season. I don't think we can afford him for the compensation because he's only just signed this contract this season. And again, he was another one that I wanted at the start of the season.
I would have considered him, Chris. But when I've just looked at the league table, and so they've drawn 3 and lost 3 out of the last 6. That is quite alarming, that form. So I don't think on that form, if he says, yeah, I'll come, I don't think where he is now, and that form that's the worst in the division, actually. No, apart from Chef Wednesday. That is literally, Oh no, Chef Wednesday and Leicester, that's the worst form in the division. So I don't think at this moment that would be a good thing for Leicester.
But if you're looking further afield, again, maybe not as that instant, I don't know. But look what he's been through with Coventry.
Definitely. With his budget, like Tom said, he's done brilliantly.
Yeah.
And Stoke's problem is they've got injuries right now. They've got injuries mounting up and a lack of players. Yeah.
Dave Challoner from Stockport County, who, again in League One, are sat in 4th with 53 points. So they are 8 points off the automatic promotion places. Only lost 7, won 15. Again, 42 goals scored, so not too high on that, but only 35 conceded. He's the other risk one, isn't he? As in Wayne, as in sort of being from the league below.
Yeah, he's there. He's kind of there or thereabouts. I mean, obviously, if you have a choice and looked on form, I'd still go with Skubala. But he's a good manager. But I don't know the difference. The trouble is with having a playoff place like Stoke, you can fall off so quickly. And in general, apart from Coventry, you do in general. The teams that are clear of, it's like Sheffield United last season, weren't it? I mean, they were how many points clear of 3rd place and end up not going up through the playoffs. So, but in general, it's a very good indicator that you've got a strong defensive team. You've got your balance sorted out. So I think it would be a good choice, but maybe not as good as Skubala.
Right. And that's it. So the other one, let me just sort of go at a few. What's the word I'm looking for? A few off the that haven't been mentioned yet that are still up there.
The main one's Hassenholt, isn't it? Hassenmüller.
5-2 on.
Interesting. Looks very much like that is, a lot of behind the scenes movement on betting activity shows there might be people in the know on that one. That is one I don't think we can predict. I think that is the hardest one to call because, is it the right circumstance for a manager like that to come in? I'm not sure. I think he's a decent enough manager. I do. But it's once again, the circumstances are we in? Is it going to be a good relationship and a good matchup here? I don't quite know what to make of that one. It'll be going into the unknown a bit for me, Chris.
Yeah. Wayne, I mean, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole personally, but
no, so he's in charge of Southampton. I'm just googling whether he was in charge of Southampton when we thumped them 9-0.
He was. Yes.
I think he was. Yeah,
and he was also still in charge of them when Man United thumped them 9-0.
Yeah, it's not for me because that to me shows you've lost the plot with the team. 9-0, 4-5-0. That's a thumping. 9 is a massacre. And you can do something as a manager in that game. That shows you're not able to affect the players' mindset, the formation, and just do something to stop that happening. And for him to do it happen twice, I think that's a big red flag to me. And that to me, I think, well, okay, are you another manager that will die on the hill of your formation, the way you believe the beautiful game ought to be played, which in the real world is just not practical.
No.
He's literally the prime Rudkin candidate, isn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Is anyone talking Dyche? We talked to him about half an hour earlier, Danny. So when we finish, go back and watch it from the start. Now, Russell Martin is second favourite. Please, God. Andy King, then Gary Rowett, Sean Dyche, Skubala. Now, at 7-1, we've got Vito Pereira. Now, I think he's going to Forest.
Yeah, let's move on. He's going to Forest.
He
was the Arcos where they won all their bits, weren't they? Yeah.
If this person gets the job, this next person gets the job, I've said this before, I will start supporting Nottingham Forest and I will go and live in Lanzarote. I do not want this man anywhere near my club. I tell you what, Tom, I wouldn't touch him with your barge pole, let alone my barge pole.
Let's keep our barge poles as far away from us as possible, mate. No crossing the streams here, ladies and gentlemen.
Gary O'Neill, 15-2.
Oh, luckily for us, he's going to make himself too unaffordable for the role because that was the problem previously, wasn't it? He rates himself quite highly. As fair play, we all got to in life, but he wants too much money.
He's got a job abroad somewhere, hasn't he? When he go to Strasbourg to follow, where was Rossignol? Was he at Strasbourg?
Yeah. He won't want to move this quickly. I wouldn't have thought either. No. So I think it's very unlikely.
No. Now, this is actually silly, but I'm not writing this one off. 15-2, Wayne. Dean Smith.
He brings Steve Walsh with him, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not too keen, to be honest. I'm not too keen.
Which one's Tom?
The one which we all know and love. That's Steve Walsh. He was working with him at Charlotte FC.
Do you mean Christian Fuchs?
No, Christian Fuchs was assistant manager. He's now gone to Newport. No, Steve Walsh was doing work for him in recruitment at Charlotte FC, I believe.
Oh, was he?
So there's a chance we get Steve Walsh back with him, which it makes it twice as good, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, the thing with Dean Smith, obviously, last time we had him, and I think he'd have kept us up if he'd had longer, was the fact that he had John Terry. And I don't think he's got Don Terry anymore. Just going to quickly run down these. Then we've got Chris Coleman. We've talked about Gus Poyet is 11-1. No. Interestingly, also 11-1. if we're going to go and blackmail somebody and say we're in the current shit because of the way you left us, Enzo Maresca.
No, absolutely not.
Really?
No.
He's made a link with Tottenham.
Yeah, overrated, stubborn. If allegedly Vardy was the one who had when we lost that 17-point lead, Vardy gathered. Enzo could not do anything about it. He couldn't break championship teams down. He was ruining people like James Justin, who's now playing fantastic at Leeds, because he's one of these managers that overcomplicates and systemizes football to such an extent it becomes a sterile, boring game. Don't like it. And he was spoiled by all the money he had. Yeah. He would not have been able to do that with any other of those championship teams.
Yeah. We got Lee Carsley at 16. Then we've got, and this name has been raising its ugly head today, at 16s as well, Stephen Gerrard.
No, thank you. No, he hasn't got the experience for this battle at all, and he was only as good as Michael Beale.
100%, mate, 100%. Under him at 16-1, Wayne, Ange Postecoglou.
Never come in. Never come in, Chris. He would never come.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. 16-1. Just do a couple more now. Alex Neil, Tom.
See, this one's not a disaster. This is similar to Gary Rowett, isn't it? It's similar to Gary Rowett. I wouldn't be against that as well. Once again, he's another one I've got on my list, and he's in my top 10 of ideas, So, yeah, I wouldn't be dead against this. And I think when you're thinking about the monetary side of it, which unfortunately is going to take away from what we could do on the pitch, this could be a decent shout, actually.
Mark Hughes at Carlisle. That's not the Mark Hughes, is it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They're in the National League, mate.
Yeah, Will Still, no thank you very much. Alan Sheehan, if he came, everybody will be holding 2 pitchforks after what happened when he was at Leicester, so no.
There's a manager apparently that's doing brilliant things in, what was the room? Yeah, League 2, with a lot of young kids.
If Will Still can do it, Michael Beale is in there. Ryan Mason, if you fancy throwing your money away and giving me a heart attack, Wayne Rooney's at 25-1. Ruud van Nistelrooy is 25-1. Come on. And funny enough, I was watching. I've just followed them on TikTok, and it's the Ted Lasso clip. Talking to Ted Lasso, Jesse Marsh is 25-1 as well. Right, we are going to be playing a little game, and I'll get the others to join in as well, the other presenters, of Managers Bingo.
Oh, wow.
So, what I need you to do, Tom and Wayne, and I will say somebody as well, is pick the one that you... I'm not going to say gets the job because no, but somebody, your first choice for who you would want top to appoint.
Who's going first?
Tom, you're on
Nigel Pearson.
Okay.
Easy. By a long way.
Wayne?
I'd love that, but I don't think it'll happen. Skibala, I'd say.
Skibala. Yeah, I was torn between him. But I am going to go. You know who I'm going to go for, guys, don't you? 1, 2, 3.
Sean Dyche.
Yeah, definitely. He would be my choice. I'll get the idea of the other guys in the presenters chat and see what they think, just for a bit of fun. Who knows? Who knows with this club? We could go and... Oh, the other one that's been mentioned and is quite high up there is one that we haven't mentioned. Sorry, very quickly. That I think this would be Reese's choice. Carlos Corberán.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem with Carlos Corberán is how good is he in a relegation scrap? He's never got into one. He's been fired just before it's happened.
Well, we say he's nearly in one with Villarreal, isn't he?
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of fans that think he's either good or bad, so he's quite, one of those managers that splits the room a little bit. I think if we're going to go down that route, you might as well go Rowett.
Is he a tippy tappy footballer manager, Wayne? I mean, looking at it here, Valencia are 1 point off the relegation zone, and the three teams below them, they're on 23. Rayo Vallecano on 22, Levante on 18, and Real Oviedo on 16. But the three below them have all played a game less.
Yeah, and as well, Spanish league, as you get low down, is not. I don't think it's that brilliant, to be honest.
Well,
it's very different to the Prem and the Championship, I think, but not for me.
Look where West Brom were under him.
Yeah, it's difficult. Look, I would love Skabala, but I think we need one of the two guys that you said. Looking at it, we just can't. After watching that video, we can't afford to go to League One. That is the number one priority.
And of course, with the guys that we said, neither of them are in a job, so neither will be no compensation there. So you can perhaps afford to pay them a little bit more. Although I believe Skubala's contract is up at the end of the season and he's not committed yet. So,
no, they haven't recommitted him to a new deal. They'd probably like to, I'd imagine, but obviously it's similar to the Glasner situation. Why would you take away the option of you getting attraction from elsewhere, right?
Yeah. One last one, very last one, and then I'll let you guys go. And thank you very, very much for joining me. Of course, he nearly brought it home, Mr. Southgate.
Just play the clip of me falling off the chair from the watch along when you said it. No, I mean, it's a completely. I mean, the problem is, he's using us for leverage to get the Palace job. Let's be frank, if there is any sort of thing going on here. Going into a Premier League club playing the style of football he played with England would probably be all right, be a mid-table sort of thing. Down here, we'd get relegated trying it.
I was asked about him, Wayne, on the Talk Sport thing this morning, and I said being a good international manager doesn't make you a good club manager. And I'll just say one word, and that's Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I don't rate him, Chris. I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? Like a lot of England managers, they've wasted a couple of generations of high-quality players that you probably could have at least won a Euros and maybe a World Cup with. So, no, I think he's I like him as a man and a person. I like his principles and things like that. And he looks after the lads, but not for me, no.
Not for you.
He's not what that mentality is not what these players need at this time.
Well, I have to say, and this is, I'm going to have to go off. You used to work for them, Wayne, the Samaritans. Have you got the telephone number? Because all I'm doing at the moment is agreeing with Clibo. I mean, we did the show last night, the review show, and I'd say we agreed on 80+%. Clibo has added his to the chat.
Sorry, Chris, why are you not playing the video that you played for me earlier then? Football Friends or the Lover Men?
Because it's my show. I can pick who I play these things for, you see. Clibo has also gone for Sean Dyche. So a man of good taste there. Guys, thank you very, very much. We're going to be back at 9:00 tomorrow night. That's Friday. I'm having a night off tonight, hopefully, unless Leicester will probably go make an appointment now at 5:00 or something. But we'll be back at 9:00 with a preview of the FA Cup tie with me, Clibo and Reese. Guys, thank you very, very much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Do all the normal things. Subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell. And don't forget, if you are on your phone, don't forget to hype it. There we go. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks to everybody that's been in the chat. Really do appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow night. Now all I've got to do now is find the right thing to play out on. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.